This is Umar Ahmed for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast, all the way from Las Vegas. I'm joined by German heavyweight unbeaten Christian Thun. Christian, first time I believe on IFL TV. How are we doing?
Yes, Umar, thank you. I'm very well. Thank you for having me. How are you?
No problem. I'm all good, thank you. So yeah, Christian, tell me a little bit about yourself before we talk about your fight with Lucas Brown. How did you end up in this sport?
Yes. So, yeah.
Hello.
Hello. It froze? No. Okay. No. So yeah, I'm half German, half Italian, and yeah, I was born in Germany from a German father, Italian mother. But I was actually raised in the UK. I actually lived 10 years in London, and I fought as an amateur out of the world famous Peacock Boxing Club. I had 40 odd fights for the Peacock Boxing Club. And yeah, that's pretty much me in two sentences.
Okay, so I've heard your name before and it being linked as the new Klitschko. Do you like that comparison or not?
I mean, look, it is somewhat flattering to be compared to, one of the greatest heavyweight champions out there. However, I do want to really make sure to have my own legacy, to be the first Christian Thun. That's for me the most important thing. And frankly speaking, Klitschko and I couldn't be more different. I mean, yeah, we both have somewhat dark hairs, but apart from that, our style is different. We have a different way of handling our business, I'd say. He's definitely a great champion. If I can be half the champion that he's been over the years, I consider myself a massive success. But I just want to be, and I want to make sure that I'm the first Christian Thun.
Yeah, I completely understand that. What heavyweight champions do you look at and take inspiration from?
Okay, that's a good question, actually. I do like to watch the old school fighters. I'm a big fan of Larry Holmes, of course, Muhammad Ali, like on the poster right behind you. I'm also a massive fan of our two champions right now, in Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. I try to pick, what I can from every sort of fighter, even like smaller ways, like a Sugar Ray Leonard, a Mayweather. Just try to really learn from everybody and take a little bit of everybody's sauce, as they say, and make my own little gravy.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Well, let me ask you about our two current champions, because you shared a ring with both. I believe you're in camp with Anthony Joshua for his fight with Kubrat Pulev, and you've been in camp recently with Tyson Fury. So I'm sure you get asked this all the time. What's it like sparring Anthony and Tyson? What are the major differences? Are there some similarities? What's it like?
Well, first of all, we have to say they are both just, like terrific athletes, terrific boxers. They're on a whole different level than anybody else in the heavyweight scene. Both are just really, really strong. As I said, they're just different. I'd say they have a different style. Yet both are really powerful. Both can box, and both are two fighters which I truly do look up to.
I'm sure you've been asked this again before, but when you compare their speed, their power, movement, in terms of who do you rate higher, Christian?
Look, it's actually I would say it's a very difficult question for various reasons. It's like comparing the fastest Ferrari with the fastest Lamborghini, It's a coin toss. Both are just so great at what they do, and for me, as a 6-0 fighter, to say, he's better, that better, I'm not in a position to really say any of that. I can just tell you that both are on top of their game. Both are like super good. Say, for example, if I would say, if you would ask me who's going to win, Lucas Brown or Tyson Fury, I clearly say, Fury is going to win 10 times out of 10, But this fight is just such a big, good fight, and both are just they're both in their peak. They cannot get any, well, of course, everybody can always get better, but physically, mentally, they're both in their peak. So it's an amazing fight, and I truly look forward to it, and may the best man win.
And in terms of yourself, how much do you think you developed after sparring Anthony and Tyson, and how much did it enhance yourself as a fighter, Christian?
Yeah, you know what, Omar? It's also a very good point. Actually, I've been really blessed in my young pro career to I sparred everybody. I sparred Vladimir Klitschko as an amateur, like when I was an amateur. I sparred Deontay Wilder. I sparred Luis Ortiz. I sparred Anthony Joshua. I sparred Vladimir Klitschko. I sparred all the American, like gatekeepers, as you call them. I sparred a lot of the British gatekeepers, as you call them. I sparred the German. I sparred everybody. And the experiences which I've had in sparring, especially sparring the top boys like Tyson Fury, like Anthony Joshua, They truly they change. You know, once you've been hit by Tyson Fury, flush. Once you've been hit by Anthony Joshua, flush. Then you go and spar these other up and coming heavyweights, and they unload like a two-piece on you, and you're like, great. Is that all you have? Like, seriously, what's that? You know, come on. And it's just different. You know, once that you get used to, you know, like driving or rather competing with a Ferrari. Once again, let me make that example. When they're gonna put you in there with like a Ford Escort RS, you know, it's different. The Ford Escort RS, you know, it might be a little bit pimped out and souped out and whatnot, but in a Ferrari or a Lamborghini.
That's a fantastic analogy. From what you said there, I'm sure it's developed you so much. All the names you mentioned, even the likes of Wilder and Ortiz, and of course you mentioned.
Sure. And you know what, Mark? They actually all have their own. They're all really different. They are all, of course, they're all big and whatnot. But for example, look, Ortiz is a southpaw, very skilled southpaw. I sparred him. Deontay Wilder, very fast puncher with a very sharp and pretty much phenomenal right hand. AJ with, you know, he's like nice upright style, extremely powerful fighter. Tyson Fury, you know, like a master ring general, ring boxer, whatever you want to call him, that can crack as well. So it's Vladimir Klitschko, you know, I think he's defended his title 17 times. Imagine he's defended his world title 17 times, which is nearly 3 times the amount of fights I've had as a pro. You know what I mean? It's just unbelievable. And back then I wasn't even a pro. Back then I was a 55 amateur when I sparred.
Just before we move on from sparring talk, you mentioned a point there about how hard Tyson Fury hits. I think it often gets overlooked. People underestimate how hard does Tyson Fury punch?
Very hard, 100%. He's, you know, certain fighters, for example, for example, Deontay Wilder has got his right hand, and everybody's so afraid of his right hand because that's the only thing that he knocks people out with. So everybody thinks, oh my God, it's his right hand. It is pretty phenomenal. But Tyson Fury has been sparking people out left and right, uppercuts, left hooks, right hands, combinations. He's a very heavy man as well. He can bang with both hands. He's very strong, very powerful, and yeah, I mean, his power is definitely, to the people that don't know boxing, his power is overlooked. And I would say if you somewhat know boxing, you know that he can crack. I mean, even looking at some of his early fights, I remember when he knocked out in his 10th or 8th fight the big Brazilian guy. I forgot his name now. He was a one-shot knockout. This was years ago when he was like 23, 4, 5 years old. So imagine now that he's a fully grown man, world champion, been through, you know, ups and downs. He can crack for sure.
Okay. Well, anyways, rolling on to August 10th in Dubai, you take on Lucas Browne. What happens to Lucas Browne then?
Okay, so let me a little bit take a step backwards. I've chosen to fight Lucas Browne because I really wanted to make a statement in my next fight. The times, actually, I was speaking yesterday with my coach, Michael Hobart. He's from London as well, by the way. And he also said to me, Christian, the times are over when you can build up a record, when you fight 15 bums and then you kind of hope to get a shot or something. These times are over. Now everybody, you know, has media. Everybody has social media. Everything gets streamed. Everybody can access information so easily. So they'll know if you've been built up like a fraud or not. So we really said, okay, let us find a good step up, a solid step up, a guy that is tough, a guy that is strong, a guy that will really give us a good test. And truly, I'm looking forward to, you know, a really good test. And I'm pretty confident that we are pretty confident that we're going to beat him. But if he happens to land something, if he happens to hurt me, then let it be. I'm ready to have a 10-round slugfest, toe-to-toe. I'm ready to give it my all in that ring, you know. So whatever test we're going to have in this fight, if it's going to be a test of me having to box and stay sharp, if you're going to have to go to war, I'm ready for it. Lucas Browne is also he really is a tough man. I mean, yeah, in his last fight, he got caught, he got knocked out by a rugby player, as they say. Certainly, Lucas Browne is not anymore the Lucas Browne that he used to be 5 or 6 years ago, 100%. But we have to keep in mind that, you know, he went to Chechnya, probably one of the most hostile places on earth, to defeat Ruslan Chagayev, getting up from the canvas and knocking him out. He's been, you know, he's fought in the UK in a couple of big fights. Yes, he's lost some of them, but he also beat Richard Towers when he was undefeated in his hometown. So, you know, he's definitely a tough man, and he's absolutely not somebody that I'm overlooking. Like when we mentioned that I was going to fight Lucas Browne, some people were saying, he's finished and whatnot. And I said, well, hang on, it's my 7th fight. To be honest, I'm supposed to fight a guy that never even had it in him. I'm supposed to fight a cab driver from Bosnia that never even had the champion in him. Whereas I'm actually fighting a plumber from Australia who's actually had it in him. No, actually, jokes aside, I highly respect him, both as a fighter, as a former champion, as a person. So I made the best man win. But once again, I'm ready to do what I have to do to win this fight.
Well, Christian, if you can go into your 7th professional fight and beat, or even better, knock out a well-recognized name like Lucas Brown in Dubai, then, you know, people who don't know Christian Thun will now know who he is.
Absolutely. This is what we are trying to achieve with this.
Definitely. Well, it's a good time to be a heavyweight because it's an exciting division at the moment. It's good to get you on the channel. Wish you the best of luck for your upcoming fight in Dubai in August. Is there anything you'd like to add before we go, Christian?
Well, Umar, once again, thank you and all the guys for having me. I wanted to also say something to all the UK fans out there. I lived in the UK, and you know, I grew up watching fights at York Hall, local Southern area title fights. I grew up watching grudge matches. I grew up watching Delbo fighting headlining at the O2 Arena. You know, I love UK boxing. I grew up watching UK boxing. I truly hope sooner rather than later to be able to come back and fight in some of the big UK shows, to bring some of that, you know, some really big slugfest back for the British public in the UK. So stay tuned.
You never know, some big UK promoters might be watching this. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Umar. Thank you for having me. Thank you all, guys.
Christian, we'll speak soon. All right, all the best for camp. We'll speak
soon. Thank you. Same to you. Thank you. Bye. Thank you.